Well, hello everybody. My name is David. Thank you for watching. Um, I guess this is my first episode. I did an intro that you can check out on my playlist that gave a little more feedback about myself. Again, my name is David. I live out here in North Carolina with my partner. I've been out here for about 3 years. Moved here from the San Francisco Bay Area, where I grew up since I was 4 years old. Um, and I like it out here. I mean, really friendly people, which has been wonderful. I think the biggest challenge I have is the geography of it all. I miss the coast of California. I miss the mountains. Um, and here, there's definitely is a coast. I have yet to be to the coast. It's about a 4-hour drive from where we're at. I hear it's beautiful. I do hear that it's quite different than the coast of California. I have been to Asheville, so there's mountains there, which I really like Asheville. Asheville is about an hour and a half from where we're at now. It's just really beautiful. I think Asheville, they have a little town in Asheville with some great little stores and shops and coffee shops and all that wonderful stuff. And I think that's the closest that I've currently felt of what it's like being back in the Bay Area. So I've enjoyed that. In fact, Asheville, the last time I was there, I've only been there twice, discovered they have a yarn store where they sell looms and they sell spinning wheels and yarn and all that wonderful stuff, which actually the Bay Area, in my experience, I couldn't find anything at all like that. They had a small little yarn shop, but that was about it. They had one in down the peninsula that I've discovered recently has closed down. So every year I have to go back to the Bay Area for a work event. So I'll be going back there in end of September. I'll shoot a video there if you would enjoy that. But sadly, I researched to see if that yarn store was open, and then sadly they've closed down. But the one in Asheville was amazing, and I discovered there's actually a fiber festival happening in Asheville this October. So that's one of the things that kind of spurred me to start this video podcast. Still a little unsure. Is it a vlog, a blog, a podcast, or what? So if I'm saying it wrong, correct me, please. But this video podcast, one of the reasons what had me kind of get in gear and started was that I would love to document the Fiber Festival, my experience there, any goodies that I brought back with me, and definitely want to buy something there and put it up for a contest of some sort that I can give away to you guys and gals. I will be starting a Ravelry group soon. So I'll give you more information on that, and that'll give us a chance to stay connected that way. I can start, a contest and Q&A and all that fun stuff that I seem to see a lot of on Ravelry. My Ravelry name will appear here somewhere. I'm also on Instagram if you care to take a peek, and that'll be here somewhere. So welcome back. I appreciate you spending your time watching this for however long you watch it. Still trying to develop an overall plan of what I want to discuss. So forgive me, this may be a little hodgepodge here and there. It may always be like that. I don't want to be too regimented with it, but I also don't want to bore people if I'm talking about something that they're not really interested in. But like I said in my intro, I have been knitting for about 10 years now. I took a little class at a yarn store down the street from me in San Francisco, mostly for the goal of creating some little doggy sweaters and toys. I had 2 little dogs at the time that have passed away, unfortunately, in the last 2 years. So if anybody is... I'm sure you've had experiences with grief and loss of a pet, especially, and how hard that is, and how that really never goes away. I'll talk more about that later. But anyway, Love my dogs to death. I have a step doggy now. His name is Huck. He's a Schnauzer. If I have to cut at any point, that'll be because he's barking, and he'll bark at a leaf that falls off a tree or a whatever. But if he sees a car go by, he tends to be a little bit frantic. So forgive me and him when that happens, because it will. So, I mentioned in my intro I was going to start some socks. I have not started them yet because, well, I actually started it, but I screwed it up somehow. So I'm rewatching a Craftsy class that Susan B. Anderson is teaching, who's really a wonderful teacher, great voice and a wonderful presenter. So I'm learning from her again. I rewatched it this morning, so I do want to start tackling that and show you on the next episode how far I've gotten on socks. It's funny because with socks, when I got into knitting, jumping around. When I took the knitting class, my goal was to make sweaters and dog toys. I never got around to it because all I really could make was straight scarves. I didn't take it any further at the time because I wanted to get the hang of the knit and purl, knit and purl, knit and purl. Well, I got the hang of that, and oddly enough, a couple months ago, it kind of started to hit me of like, I think I'm ready to try more cabling. I remember at the time thinking, who in their right mind would knit a sock from scratch? That seems like it would take forever. Go to the store and buy it. I don't understand. I would never do that. Well, it's funny because after watching a lot of these video podcasts on here and other wonderful presenters who are showing off their socks and techniques around socks, I got hooked. I mean, they're pretty amazing, and they don't look as challenging as I initially thought they would be. And definitely, if I'm knitting a long scarf, it's no different from what I hear than knitting sock as far as the time involved with it. The other thing I've realized is the more socks I've been buying recently at the store, the more they tend to wear out. So if I could make my own that are more heavy duty for myself and my partner, I think that would be wonderful. So I thank all you wonderful folks out there who do knit scarves, who have inspired me. So I appreciate that very much. If I could show you, and in place of a project bag, I've gotten into the habit of project mugs. I have a bit of a thing for mugs, pottery, and so forth. So this is one I got from the Crazy Cat Ceramics on Etsy recently, and I thought, what a wonderful little thing to just, instead of having bags everywhere, which I do have some bags, and we'll have more, some mugs. So you pick it up, move it. So this is the Opal brand yarn that I will be turning into hopefully a sock of some sort. And a little warning, I'm not sure how it's going to look. But one of the things for myself, instead of being a perfectionist, I've thought I'm just going to make a pair of socks. They may be misfitting, misconstrued, misfit. Either way, I just want to get one out of the way, and then I hear the more you do it, the better it is. So I will definitely keep you posted on that. So weaving. Also, I think it's going to, this video thing, the way I have it works, at least for this episode, and probably a few other ones, it's probably going to be a hodgepodge of multiple topics. So, I know some have a very well thought out, well planned presentation, which is wonderful, and I'm sure I might get there at some point. But forgive me for now because I'm going to be jumping around. So hopefully that's not too distracting for folks out there. Weaving. I also have a Sayori loom that I've got probably 5 months ago, and love it. I was watching a documentary, which I can't remember the name of it at the time, on PBS a while back, that was about weaving. It was a 6-part series about weaving and arts, fiber arts, and was really fascinated by that. And that led me online to, I discovered Sayori, which I like even better for myself because it's not so much about the technique. It's more just free flow, free form, sit down and just escape and enjoy it. So I'll throw a little video in here at some point that shows you a little bit of my work on that. And it's just a wonderful, relaxing process that I've enjoyed. One of the things also is why I'm labeling this fiber arts instead of just knitting or weaving or crocheting is I'm really getting into sort of the full spectrum of it. So knitting, crocheting, I just learned recently, weaving and spinning. I have spun half a skein recently, and it was horrible. However, I was able to incorporate that into one of my Sayori weavings. So that was wonderful because it didn't look great on its own, but when I wove it, it looked like I did it on purpose. Imagine that. So more on that as well, but there's a lot to learn in all those areas, so I'm looking forward to it and just trying to have fun with it, not be a perfectionist with it, and all that wonderful stuff. I mentioned that I recently started crocheting. I watched a few videos on YouTube that showed me how to do the single crochet process, and I've really been enjoying that and practicing that and having fun with that. I have 3 coworkers that have recently become pregnant, so my goal is to make. I found a pattern on YouTube for little Santa elf slippers and a hat. So I am going to tackle that in the coming weeks, and I'll keep you posted on the progress of that. Speaking of Santa, I'm a huge Christmas lover, always have been, and just enjoy it. So I'm very much looking forward to the holidays. Yesterday was the 25th. Today's Sunday, the 26th of June. So we're 6 months, a little less than 6 months away from Christmas, which I know can panic some people. For me, I'm very much looking forward to it. And more to that. I'll share a lot of that on here, probably to the point of some folks may not even want to watch, but it's for me. I know there's a lot of people who have issues with the commercialism of it and all of that stuff, and I get that. I fully understand that. For me, Christmas is like a time machine where when I start hearing the Christmas carols and you see the decorations or the commercials and so forth, and you just kind of feel it in the air. It takes me right back to childhood, and I thankfully had a wonderful childhood around Christmas holidays. I am the youngest of 8 kids. There's a 6-year difference between myself and my next sibling. So there's a lot of wonderful memories I have with my mother, who has passed, during the holidays. So for me, Christmas, I don't focus on the commercialism. I don't focus on any of that crazy stuff that tends to kind of happen with the naysayers during the holidays. For me, it's just a personal time machine, and it gives me a chance to kind of go back and be that little kid. Which that kid is still here, because I'll also show you more parts of my my cave. I call it the room of requirements. I've called it the pinch cave instead of the man cave. Pinch was my min pin, my miniature pincher that passed away. Wonderful little guy. More about him later. And I also had a Jack Russell, I called Bailey, who was a wonderful little gal as well. So you'll hear more about them, even though they are flapping around somewhere in heaven, and I feel that they're still here. At least I know they are. Though they're a big part of my life, even though they're not here in physical form. But this room that I'm sitting in now, as you see, there's a model of the Eiffel Tower that I did not put together, but I can show you more detail on that as well. But It's just my way to kind of put all my oddities, all my fun little quirky things in here. This is the room that I will eventually weave in. Sometimes I come here and knit, crochet, or read. It's my little escapism. I've always been fascinated with trinkets. I'm a huge, crazy knick-knack collector, which to the point of I need therapy. So more of that later. I need to redo this room, so and incorporate more of my weaving and so forth. And I'll document that as we go along. That might be some interest to some people as well. One of the things about fiber arts also for me was that I tend to get into hobbies rather quickly. Knitting has been the longest, obviously, for myself. However, 6 months back, I was watching a few YouTube videos on leather crafts. Leather, you get a raw piece of leather and you turn it into a holder or a bag or a camera case or something like that. And that was amazing. So I researched it, went to a leather shop here, got all the equipment. And this was about a year ago, actually. Anyway, that was about the same time I became vegetarian. So don't worry, I ain't going to be pushing people on becoming a vegetarian. I'm not one of those people. I'm definitely not one to push things down people's throats. Being the youngest of 8 kids, I learned at the very young age, do not push your beliefs, do not push your anything. Just, so don't fear. I'm not going to become a vegetarian. So it was a personal choice. But for me, I had to get out of the leather craft, so I thought, oh, perfect. Let me get back into yarn and really give it a full force and enjoy it. And I have been. I've loved it. So remember, I warned you, a little bit hodgepodge. I am going to be jumping around, so forgive me if I'm a little hard to follow. I'll be a little more regimented in the future. But one of the things about being a perfectionist to a degree is that if I overthink things, it may never happen. So there you go. So let me just show you something I'm working on. I guess they call whips work in progress. Every time I hear that, I always think of the Raiders of the Lost Ark scene where Indiana Jones is just stolen the gold, or not stolen, I guess he did steal the golden idol, and his cohorts telling him, throw me the whip, I'll throw you the idol. So every time I hear whip, I always go back to that. So this is something that I'm crocheting. And again, I've just started crocheting a little while ago. What I really like about it is for me, I like the idea of just one hook. You just one hook, and as opposed to the 2 needles going at once. So I find it actually, for me, a little more relaxing than knitting. But again, as you can see, it's just a straight back and forth. So it's nothing too fancy yet, but I'm actually really enjoying that. So the little elf shoes that I'm making for my co-workers, that'll kind of push me into the realm of other things for crocheting. So what I've actually wanted to share with you also is Furls. I don't know if you've heard of Furls, but it's a company, Furls, FURLS.com, that sell specialty crochet hooks, different varieties, different types. That one scarf that I'm doing, I worked using this furl hook, and it's like a heavy resin that I actually like. It has a great feel to it. It fits really nice in the hand. And if you go to the website, you see that they're designed to fit, and the weight is specialized to work. This one that I worked on that scarf for was a K 6.5 millimeter, which is this one. Got it same night. I loved it. Went online and ordered another one. And I thought, you know what, let me see what the 2.0 looks like. Well, excuse me. The 2.0 is that. Look how incredibly tiny that is. wouldn't even know what to do with that thing. So, sorry, it's not coming in. Anyway, very tiny. So I don't think I'm ever going to be using that, but you never know. So they also have some nice wood ones. So I have a nice wooden one on order, specialty woods. There's a larger size. I wanted to get like an N. So I'll show that to you when it arrives. Hopefully it'll be here by the time I do my next recording. What I also got recently is some yarn from Knit Picks, which is a bit dangerous, as I'm sure some of you are well aware. This is Knit Picks Hawthorne Sport Buckman is the name. And I love the color of that. And that's one of the things about knitting and yarn and spinning and fiber is that I've really discovered that I've always loved color. If you, with this room, my cave, I initially wanted to do the walls black, but I kept going back and forth with it and went to the store to look at some color choices and just, you know, if I'm given too many choices of stuff, I tend to get stuck. So I thought, let me just live with it for a while, and then when I'm ready to make a color change, I will change it. But what I've learned about yarn is I don't have that issue at all. I mean, I can go online and see colors and instantly just gravitate towards them. So this one is also Knit Picks. This one is Hawthorne Sport Vancouver. But the colors, I mean, look at that. Maybe I need to knit wallpaper. Can you imagine how long that would take? But that's what I'm loving. Now, what I'm doing with these is I'm going to probably start one of them, maybe a shawl, which is another thing that here's a nice bluer one, bluer shade. This is a Knit Pick Hawthorne Sport named Irvington. So, I'll document it now because I told you about the socks. I would never think about knitting socks. It would just take forever. A sweater. I would never do a sweater is what I'm saying now. Watch me in 6 months. I'll be like, I'm going to be making a sweater. But I'm not sure quite what I'm making with these yet. But I do know that it might be something more than a scarf. Possibly socks or a shawl. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that being the youngest of 8 children, my mom I used to knit stuff for, scarves for, and she was wonderful. You know how, if you have a wonderful mother, you know how wonderful mothers are. They just appreciate everything that you do for them. So, but as I'm sure some of you maybe can relate to, that sometimes you knit something and you take all that time and you give it to someone and you can just tell that they're not so crazed about them. Now, granted, that could very well be my lack of skill level with the design or the look of it. So I have learned that, especially with Knit Picks and a few other yarns that I've gotten recently, that it does make a difference to put a little money into that. I used to only get them at, you know, Michael's and so forth, and they have some wonderful stuff too. Don't get me wrong. But I didn't want to spend more than $10 a skein when I would in the past, because I just didn't want to. Now I'm understanding more that, you know, sometimes those wonderful color choices and the quality of it and the fiber content, it may end up needing to be to cost a little more than that. So what's nice about weaving for the Sayori is it can take all sorts of yarn. So I have a basket in my closet of yarn that I've collected since I started, and just, you know, some of it it's like I'm thinking of, you know, I wish I could donate it or give it to someone, because it's stuff that I've kind of lost interest in. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but sometimes you buy a skein, 6 months later you look at it and say, it doesn't really inspire me. So I have quite a few in a basket that's, for me, not working. Someone else that may love it. But what I have done is sort of pulling that down and incorporating that into some of the weaving, which is nice, because, you know, if you see it on a tapestry or on a woven in between other fiber. It actually looks quite wonderful. The majority of the stuff that I use on my Sayori are these cones. Um, I'm sure some of you are familiar with these. Really thin um, yarn or thread is what some of these even seem like. And these I got off of Etsy from the same person that I bought my loom from. Had a set of these and I ordered them. And when they came, I was quite surprised because they are very, I mean, as you know, those out there that weave, very thin. But what's amazing about that is it looks really wonderful when it's woven in. So what's great about that is, you know, again, if I ever get a skein or a old yarn that doesn't quite work or inspire me to knit or crochet something out of, I can work with it inside the weaving process and actually have a lot of fun with it. So that's what I've been working on, the crocheting. I'd love to hear, you know, please give me some suggestions if you have any questions or suggestions on what you'd like to see going forward. I am definitely open to constructive criticism if there's any out there. I know for me, a lot of times, my partner and I, we've cut cable about a year ago. And I used to be somewhat of a TV addict where I would, even to the point where I like to have it on in the background. So what I've learned is that I don't miss it that much. I have Roku, so if I want to watch something, I can watch it via that way. For the most part, they have stuff. Downton Abbey, huge Downton Abbey fan. Harry Potter, huge Harry Potter fan. And Bates Motel. If you haven't watched Bates Motel, I know you don't know me. You don't know who I am, but you got to trust me. Bates Motel is phenomenal. Just try it. And I'll spill more about that later. Be warned. But what I've learned is I've found some wonderful bloggers on here that I've enjoyed having on in the background, even if I'm knitting or crocheting or doing cooking or housework, whatever, I can have it on and enjoy it. So hopefully this will be somewhat enjoyable for others. So I appreciate your feedback and hope you're having a wonderful, fantastic day. Today it's about 80 some degrees here. Chance of thunderstorms in the next couple days. A huge fan of rain myself. If you give me a choice between a hot day and a thunder and lightning stormy kind of day, I'm an oddball. I go with the rain. So hopefully where you're at, it's a beautiful day, whatever that definition is to you, and hopefully you're having a wonderful weekend and the start of your week is a pleasant one and enjoyable one. And again, you know, this is new to me, so the future ones I'd like to have a little more in-depth for weaving. I'll show you my loom. Spinning, I have a ladybug spinner, gentleman bug spinner that I'll show as well. And I just want to learn along the way. So if you care to join me, you're much welcome to do so. All right. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you again later. Bye.